Welcome, Reapers, to the premiere episode in this new series, Words and Their Meanings. Right up front, I would like to give thanks to the local church leaders that are partnered with Pathway Seminary for credentialing with the Assemblies of God. I'd like to also give special thanks to many mentors and friends that have been by my side along the way, like Pastor Tom Conant, Pastor Cheryl Pickford, Ryan Barang, Jonathan Rivera, and Brian Schubert, including Pastor Rich Wooten and various others. Each of you are goads and spurs piercing the darkness. Now, I'm no recognized scholar in the Hebrew language, but I am a student, a disciple of Christ, reflecting on my use of the term yada yada in some conversation and storytelling over the years. Which means, you know. Children don't learn to speak from only reading a book, which is what I did with the Hebrew word yada. Not to suggest I learned Hebrew or learned the term reading a book, but I learned as a child how to understand language through the phonetics of socializing, and I learned how to speak engaging with others. Reading has helped refine my languages, my vocabularies, and the use of words, but yada 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 just naturally came out in storytelling, and I didn't realize it at first, but I was speaking Hebrew, and then I looked up the word yada yada yada, and I learned that I understood some Hebrew and fully acknowledged that. Gary Wilson, an artist history professor, teaches a section in his creativity class sharing that experts of the brain suggest that reading a book is one of the hardest tasks for the mind. Maybe that's why the books of poetry and wisdom are some of my favorite within the biblical library. For more about Gary's lesson in this idea, check out the WP Films TV video link in the description listed below. Today's lesson is about the Hebrew word Hebel. Ecclesiastes, a Greek word for assembler, also referred to in some context as a preacher, because preachers assemble people. Kohelet is the Hebrew word meaning the same. What we have here are three different languages, all meaning basically the same thing. So just as in our English language, you'll find synonyms and antonyms, you can find the same in other languages. In the message of Ecclesiastes, the author uses the word Hebel. Everything is Hebel. Hebel is a Hebrew word for the word vanity. Translated from Hebrew, the message of Ecclesiastes contrasts vanity exhaustively, later drawing the conclusion that all that is done is for selfish vanity, if done so without God's plan and purposes. In other words, do all that we do for God. Commit all your ways to the Lord. Key verse in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 13 through 14. Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil. In the NIV, you will not find the word vanity. Instead, you will need other English synonyms in your vocabulary to understand the word to be meaningless, or read a different translation. Vanity and meaningless are of the same shade of contrast and definition. The NIV translators use meaningless 39 times in the Bible. You will find meaningless 35 times in the book of Ecclesiastes alone. The other four are found in Job, Isaiah, 1 Timothy, and Titus. I agree with Ecclesiastes that all is for naught without the Lord's purposes. The Apostle Paul teaches this to the church in Corinth in chapter 13 of 1 Corinthians. In my own words, it's all Hebel without love. Not self-love that comes from a place of pride and selfishness, but selfless love, like love for your neighbor, love for others that doesn't give you any sort of personal gain, but selfless love, the love from above. The poetry and wisdom literature really enhance the other parts of our biblical library and our understanding of those other books. It helps me slow down and experience the artistic beauty that could be missed without it. With Hebrew, we can greatly enhance our study and experience too. For example, did you know that the 31st chapter in the Song of Songs is an acrostic using the alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet in each of the first lines? I hear the language itself phonetically impacts the poet's intent too. I love learning more about the Bible. Reading the poetry and wisdom literature, the Psalms, the Proverbs, the Song of Songs, Ecclesiastes, and Job, and doing so in the original language, although challenging and difficult, really takes the study to a different, deeper place and adds artistic quality that we struggle to gain in our English language sometimes. Not to suggest we don't have beauty in our English language, but we really have to work hard with the vocabulary to make it more artistic. And even so, I just love art itself. Like, beautiful art says so much more than a book sometimes. In our next episode of Words and Their Meanings, join us as we explore the relation of Hebel and Abel in the book of Genesis. In Latin, imago Dei, image of God. We are made in the image of God. Forget not who made you. Forget not the image of God. Imago Dei. Psst. Remember to like, subscribe, and share so you can catch the next episode.